Hey, today's shave is going to be with this Semogue 1260, I believe. Check the description. It'll have the right number. But it is a bore knot. So quickly, I'm going to put it so it can have the longer soak time. I usually like to let them soak for 3 or 4 minutes. Longer is even a little better. But 3 or 4 should do just fine. And notice I don't soak the handle, especially with wooden handles. I'm going to pour off a little bit, in fact, especially with wooden handles. If they soak in water, then they can split and other bad things. So the other gear I have, let me make a note when that started soaking, all right? Perma-Sharp Super. That's not very helpful. That's just my writing. Here we go. Here's the box the tucket came in. Perma-Sharp Super Stainless. And where was this guy from? Russia. This is a blade that's done pretty well for me in certain razors. Not all razors, but probably about half of them. And the razor today is going to be my, this is a UK Aristocrat 15. Open comb, as you can see there with the teeth. Blade is already in it. It's ready to go. Nice little piece of art and history. One of the earliest of the Aristocrats, especially the open comb design. I think the open comb design came first. The soap we're going to be using today is this little sample I have of Conquest. Now I am pretty sure I'm going to be picking up a full tub of this. I like Dr. John's base a lot. It gives me a great lather, even in my hard water. And it's really terrific. So I'm going to hook out. I'm going to do a little bit less than a 1/4 teaspoon. And because I think Dr. John's is pretty economical in that respect. So I used my measuring spoon to hook out what I wanted. And that's kind of how you have to treat samples if you're new to samples. Yeah, obviously this is too small to lather in. You're not expected to do that. And so what I do is take a 1/4 teaspoon, and that's used to be what I would scoop even normal sized soaps with. But lately I've been enjoying brush loading. But with samples, you still have to do something like this. You can use the back of your thumbnail. You can kind of see that my thumbnail is about this similar size, and so I put a heaping amount on the back of my thumbnail if I don't happen to have this handy. And then we will take this amount and spread it into the bottom of my lather bowl. This is my Dollar Tree special. It's melamine, and this is what I travel with so that it doesn't break in my suitcase. And this particular design is handy in my suitcase because it's almost a 90-degree angle if you look at this side versus this side. And so this can go on the corner of my suitcase. It protects things as well as not taking up very much space at all because it's just occupying a corner. And so I'm going to press this down and spread it around thinly. It's best not to do this with a wet finger. Much easier with a dry finger. And Conquest is a neat little series that Dr. John's did a while back. And it's the last one of the series. Propaganda may have been the first one. If not, Defiance was. There were 3 soaps involved in it. But Propaganda is one I really enjoy. They all have sandalwood and mandarin, which are 2 great and classic shaving soap popular scents. And then he would vary other ingredients around those 2 bases. And with the Propaganda, I can't remember specifically, but it didn't tweak it too much from the original sandalwood and mandarin, and I really enjoyed it a lot. The Defiance was the other one. I didn't quite care for that one as much because it was allspice and black pepper were a couple of the dominant notes brought into the sandalwood and mandarin profile. And so I didn't care for that. If you're a winter person and you like those kinds of smells, then Defiance is worth checking out. And I believe maggardrazors.com is where I got this sample, and it's where you can get the other samples if you're interested, in case you don't want to buy a full tub. It's a vegan base, and I'm fine with vegan. I'm not a vegan. But if it's a good lather, I don't care whether it's vegan or tallow, but I usually gravitate toward tallow soaps. All right, the razor's ready. And the brush is ready. Yes, it's been soaking for about 7 minutes, so that should be plenty of time. Boar bristles need to absorb water. Badgers don't absorb it nearly as much, and so sometimes you can get away with just kind of running a badger under some water and then, moving on. But boars need a little bit more time. Now, you don't have to soak them the whole time. There are some people who soak them or get them really wet under the sink, and then we'll take that brush and turn it upside down and put it on the sink so that water that it was just in can kind of absorb, and so that may have the same effect. I like to do this. Now, before my shave, we need to start wetting and hydrating our hairs to make them easier to cut. They're very strong and hard if they're dry. I just use cold water. And it'll take a few minutes to build my lather, so that's a few minutes that the water is on my face soaking into my hairs. And I think we're ready to go then. So this is what the soap looked like. As you see, it's not very much, but I'm pretty sure it'll be enough. And shake most of the water out of my brush, and then start loading. This is a great little brush I used the other day. Nice and soft, and the right backbone to do the job, not tons of backbone. Little bit of scrub, but still mainly being quite soft. And for me, a lot of times, I'm not looking for scrub. I'm looking for comfort when I shave. That's just what I like. It started out pretty bubbly at first, but now as I'm working it, it's starting to kill some of those bubbles and look a little more creamy. We'll go with this for just a minute while it continues to change, and I'm not going to add any more water until I kind of get the airy bubbliness of it to back down a bit. So I'm almost sure I'm going to have to buy a full tub of this because I really like it. And here are the scent notes as I'm filling up my 2 teaspoon measure here. In addition to the sandalwood and mandarin, it has blackberry. It's got some spices. They're right up on their site, said those 2 would be pretty easy to pick up from the lather. Yeah, now that you can tell me what that is, I can pick those out. Don't know that my nose is smart enough to pick out blackberry by itself, especially with the spices. But I really like blackberry. And then they said that keeping it from being too sharp is some amber and fig, and those may not be as obvious. Their website said. I like it a lot. I like blackberry cider, that kind of stuff. So this is Conquest, and as you see, the soap is now no longer bubbly and airy, but more creamy looking. And we're going to keep, Dr. John's is usually a pretty thirsty soap, and if I added enough, then it'll take a good bit of water. A couple of soaps out there that I put enough in and you only add half a teaspoon and you're fine. But most of them especially the artisan croaks require maybe 2 teaspoons or almost 3. I grew up in the Cold War, so just the thought of it just brings back a few memories, at least familiar terms and familiar ideas. This lather looks very good. Let's do a little check-in. Why don't we use this and see what happens? Nah, you know what? I know Dr. John's a little better than that. I think I'm going to have to add a little more. It actually feels kind of watery, slippery right now. So we've added 1 teaspoon. Let's add another half, because I can always go back to the little tub there if I need to thicken it up. So I can tell this has nice low backbone. That's kind of my preference. As I splay it in the bowl, I can feel the resistance it's providing, those synthetics. And most of the synthetics provide quite a bit of springiness and backbone, and that's not my thing. And you know, that's the kind of thing you can feel in the bowl, so you'll even kind of know what you're getting into before you let the brush touch your face. All right. There we go there. All right, so let's just see if I didn't load quite enough soap or if I loaded too much water. Ooh, we're off to a good start. Feels good. This brush splays really nice. Now here's the thing, folks. You can get a Badger brush, and even the kind of medium grade ones that are good quality and give you good feel. Those are gonna, if you get a cheap like $10 handle or $6 handle, those are still gonna run you maybe $35, $30 at the least. And this little guy's for $15, and he's quite comfortable. So I think these little bores here are a great one to try out, especially if you're in the beginning. Now the trick is that a bore takes some time to break in. Now this one really didn't, for whatever reason. Other ones, I basically had to go back to the tub before each pass. And yeah, I didn't quite load enough soap. Good news is I've got a bowl here. I can just go back and get some more. You may have to go back each pass and reload the soap on the brush. But on one of my Semogue brushes, I had to do that about I think maybe 6 times. On the other one, I had to do about 15 of those types of shaves before I could kind of use it normally like I'm using now. So they are a little weird to break in, and it's really frustrating if you don't know about the break-in period. You think you've just bought a dud or something. But for $15 for a brush that is very comfortable, I mean, it's not going to be as soft as a Badger, okay, but it still feels good. And some people actually prefer bores over Badgers. And so for $15, I think it's a great way to start. And if you discover you'd like it or don't like it, then so be it. At least you've got a little bore brush to help you out sometimes when you maybe want variety or something like that. All right, well, lather feels great. It's at a good consistency. I feel like this razor is going to glide nicely. Last time I used this razor, I used it with the, I think it's a Supermax Blue Diamond. And it did really well. But last time I used this blade, it was a little bit touchy. And it's behaving much better with this razor. You'll find that is often the case where certain blades will behave very differently in other razors. Especially if you were to compare something like this, an open comb, with a closed comb that has just way different geometry. The more different the razor is, and this is pretty obvious unless you, when you say it out loud, you're like, duh. But the more different a razor is, the more likely a different blade, the blades will change how they work in it. All right, face feels great, very comfortable. I guess I felt the edge moving along my face. I felt the hairs being cut. There was no pulling or tugging involved. It was really comfy. And that's the first pass. The rest of them are going to be even better. Well, I have rinsed, and I did get a nice creamy feel. I think that I must have, I guessed at my notes for the past with Dr. John's. I believe a little bit less than a quarter teaspoon is what I probably noted. It's what I used. I'm used to having 2 or 3 passes extra of lather. And so that's why I got a little concerned, because here's what I have left. The other day, when my shave was done, I had 3 times as much as this left over after 3 passes. However, I believe this is going to be plenty of lather to do 3 passes. So we might have just dialed in the amount, the quantity, as well as the consistency this time, because this lather is a very good one. If you haven't heard it from me before, bores were the brush to use when you wanted an inexpensive but good brush for quite a long time. But now synthetics have really come a long way and gotten a lot cheaper. You can get them for $10 now. Now Sterling has a bore you can get for $10 too. I'm about to get that one. I love my Semogues, but it's good to have I think at least, for me to have another bore on board. I got one from Whip Dog. I'm pretty sure it's just a standard OEM type from, China or something, but I've been really liking it. I like it better than a couple of my Semogues. All right, I think this lather will be great. And let's take this hair off. About 24 hours worth of growth. This is maybe the 4th time I've used this brush. You may have seen that hair on my razor just now. It is totally normal to lose hairs. I tried to catch that with my hand instinctively. Fortunately, I didn't cut myself. Thank you, Jesus. Could have been a mess. The very comfortable shave right now. And one of the things that I'm going to look at right now, I think the good thing is my hand dampened the razor's fall, and so it only had a few inches to drop before it hit the sink. Oh man, yeah, one of these teeth. When you buy an open comb that's used, look at the corner teeth. This one is dropped down more. That must have been where it hit. So I will have to very carefully look into lifting that guy up just a hair. I bet it won't impact my shave though. So if you buy a used open comb online, that is definitely first thing I look for. Bent teeth on the end. All right, let's rinse this off. One of the reasons I like Dr. John's is because it's just so slick and you don't have to use as much product. It's a nice hardish soap. It's not triple milled, I don't think, but I'm just going to try to scoop up as much lather as I can, and this will be the perfect amount. I don't have any margin for error. Well, there's probably going to be some left in my brush. I've already scrubbed the my beard for the first 2 passes, and so I just kind of need to paint on the 3rd pass. Scrubbing is for cleaning and clearing away dead skin and things like that. Oh yeah, I've got enough. I'll have enough left on my brush to do my under neck as the 4th if I want, which is often what I have to do. In my rinsing, it's winter right now, and so the tap water is really cold, and I am bringing in the hot water sometimes just to bring it up to lukewarm. I find it's this is not generating any irritation, but I find that cold water really helps. To calm down inflammation and soothe irritation. Very comfortable. I don't see why they didn't make this razor for 20 years. I don't know. Maybe the industry just wasn't there for it. This particular one was, more expensive. So maybe the market just wasn't there. But, and you can tell the better UK Aristocrats by the base plate. These are going to be the more expensive ones, that kind of thing. See, that's a solid base plate. From the bottom, you can see it as well as the top. It's not solid all the way through. Well, shoot, it might actually be. But it's a flat. This base plate, the floor of this region right here is flat, and there will be a diamond bevel if it's the lesser priced ones. The more popular ones, these are a little bit more rare, and the price jump is quite different. But the other ones, they shave pretty much just as well. And so if you want to stay away from this kind and save some money, you're going to get pretty much the same shave. I think the 21 is the version of this one, but I think it's still a closed comb. Is the version of this one that has a close geometry. For the 16, which is like this with a solid base plate, I think the 66 is the one that is the diamond base plate that pretty much has the same geometry. All right, put this blade back in there. And notice this one has these little flanges at the ends of the rail, and that helps to keep that blade perfectly aligned all the time, every time. All right. So, I just did my 3rd pass, I believe. Let me go ahead and look at my... Man, that's just a really good shave. Okay, well that's an excellent blade for this 15 Aristocrat UK version. They just a really good pairing there. Let me final rinse here. It just occurred to me that I was so concerned with the lather not being quite enough. I forgot to take in the scent. And I did smell the lather in the beginning of the video. And I can smell it now, but I don't know what strength it was during my shave. And so I'm guessing that means it wasn't very strong. So maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10. Hopefully it's more on the 3 or 4 side, because if it's not kind of active and present during my shave, I'm probably not going to be interested in picking it up because it's basically unscented at that point. But Conquest, that's why we have a little sample. We've got plenty enough for a couple more shaves with this, and I'll be able to pay attention to, I'll try to remember to pay attention to the scent then. So I did pretty much use up all the soap in the bowl. And I did have, you probably saw just now as I was smelling it, I did have enough on my brush. If I wanted to do a pass after my third on my neck only, I would have had enough to do that. But the cut was so nice, I didn't need to do it in the first place. So we'll keep on cleaning up here. So if you didn't know already, what will happen with borers and is 2 things. They will start to bloom and open up. They start out kind of small at first, but they'll open up with use. And that's good because it means better splay when you're shaving, and it means it holds more lather when you're shaving. And so you don't have to, if you're a face shaver, a face latherer, then that's really good for you because you want your brush to hold quite a bit of soap in the beginning so that you have some left over at the end of your shave. But the second thing that will happen to a borer as it ages and as it improves and matures and breaks in is that the tips will start to split. This, as I said, this brush has very few uses on it. But I believe there are a few tips that might have split already. I don't know. And just think about it. These are pretty fine bristles, pretty small, thin bristles. However, if they split, then they get even smaller. Those tips get even smaller, which means softer feel on your face. And so that is a prize that you wait for. And when they all split, and it'll just get crazy nice. Okay, and it's neat, for me at least, to watch it change and to watch it mature as I use it. There are shortcut break-in methods that will make the hair split quicker, I believe. I usually don't go with those. I haven't needed to with Semogues because they get to a very usable and comfortable point pretty quickly within 1 or 2 weeks of uses, or 3. But other people and maybe other brush makers might be a little different. Omegas and Zeniths, that sort of thing. One of those, I believe, is a brush that is so takes a while to break in, and so often it is more required that you do some kind of shortcut method. So just look for shortcut break-in borer shaving brush on Google if you want to learn more about some of those. The amount of water we used today for the almost 1/4 teaspoon of soap was 3/4 of a syringe, which is 1.5 teaspoons. So there's that. And next time I shave with this Conquest or any Dr. John's soap, I will use the full 1/4 teaspoon. Just so I have some margin. I'll have some left over, but also it'll give me the opportunity to really make sure that it's a nice creamy consistency. This was very enjoyable. I don't know that I would want to go any wetter than this, and so I thought this was at a great spot. Maybe a tad less water might have put it at this super sweet spot, but it was still very nice. Really happy with the way it turned out. I was a little scared because quantity was lower than usual, but it turned out to be enough. A couple little notes. One of the things with borers is if they spread out too much splay, not enough central density, you can take O-rings and like silicone or rubber O-rings and bring them over the back of the handle and put them around right above this metal ring, and that'll kind of bring the bristles a little more together, and that might help you a lot. If you're trying to break in, here's the second thing. If you're trying to break in a borer in a kind of a natural way like I do, just using it, strop it on a towel after use. Helps it to dry out. If it's not quite splayed out as much as you want, you can. It helps also if you to increase that likelihood And then the third thing is that if you're trying to break one in, the wetting and drying cycle is important to the break-in process. As it dries, that helps it to split. As far as I know, as far as my research seems to indicate. And so therefore, if you can use the board that you're trying to break in every other day instead of every day, because then it gets a better drying cycle between uses and it breaks in quicker. So there you go, a little bit about borders. So I definitely liked the scent of the Conquest. Very much of a big fan. It's just that I need to do another shave to figure out what the scent strength was, if it was too weak or if it was present enough. All right, in the next few days, I think I'm going to finish and polish off and kill this Balm. Let's just see. I have to shake it in just the right way to get some to come out. Looks like we're okay for now. So it's a little bit of a gamble each time. Who knows when we're going to hit the lottery. This Nivea post-shave balm is nice. It's available in so many places. Walmart, your drugstores, Amazon even has it. Don't pay more than about $5.50 or $5.70 for it, because then you're overpaying. But it's a pretty good balm. It's not great. If you really need moisturizing power, then you're gonna. This will only hold you off for maybe half a day or a little bit more, is from what I've read. But I have oily skin, and so it does fine for me. So it's an economical and worthy balm. I happen to like the original better that has alcohol instead of this one, which does not. This is the sensitive one. All right, really happy with the brush today. It did great as usual. I don't have to, I haven't really had to break it in. It's just been great from the beginning. It's just the way it worked out this time. The razor was exceptional. I even heated it up under water and was able to almost perfectly straighten out the corner that had been tweaked a little bit. Do that very carefully. It took me about 20 pushes, 19 in which I did nothing, and then the 20th which is when I moved it. And so I just wanted to tread very slowly and carefully with that. So it did great. In a way, I'm not surprised with the soap, because a lot of times if it's a slightly sweet and dark scent, which is what he was going for, with the amber and the fig and blackberry, a lot of those aren't as pungent as some of the other types of scents. And so sometimes those are more subdued, and that's kind of a par for the course. And now let's throw on some Old Spice. Just a little bit I need today, not too much. Good shave. Good shave. Very enjoyable. Didn't have to go. It was comfortable and close because I didn't have to go into the thinning, if you will. And I believe that's it. So excellent. So this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there was something here that helped you out. Take care and have a good day.